Casey Anthony awaits trial for the murder of her toddler, Kaylee. We're now seeing dramatic images of what she was doing on the day her daughter disappeared. But that's not all. NBC's Kerry Sanders is in Orlando with more on the story. Kerry, good morning to you.
Well, good morning, Matt. One recurring question has been, how did Casey Anthony react when her 2-year-old daughter's remains were discovered? We now know she first heard about it on a radio as she sat in a jail cell, and a short time later, she saw it on television. That day in December, when a toddler's remains were found in the woods a quarter-mile from Casey Anthony's house.
And it's a very, very lush wooded area back there.
It now appears that a utility worker stumbled on a body.
As the news was breaking, jailhouse guards reveal in newly released court records, detectives plotted to record Casey's reaction to the developments. Handcuffed in her solitary cell, she was walked to the medical unit, where a TV was purposely tuned to a news station. Investigators then videotaped Casey's reaction via jailhouse security cameras, while 2 guards took note of her demeanor.
She collapsed into the chair and started to what appeared to be hyperventilating. She lost her breath. We told her a couple of times to take some deep breaths. She got real shallow breathing. Her hands started to sweat. She started rubbing them profusely.
But when the remains had been found, investigators had yet to conclude it was Kaylee. Casey's attorney has long claimed setting her up like this was a violation of her rights.
She didn't make direct eye contact with the TV, but maybe 2 or 3 times. She kept her head buried in her lap. She never appeared to be crying, but continued to breathe very rapidly.
Casey Anthony has maintained her innocence since Kaylee disappeared. She waited a month before even telling anyone her daughter was missing. Casey claimed she was conducting her own private investigation. But in the evidence now made public, there are no images of a desperate mother in search of her child. Rather, this series of security photos were taken at the Blockbuster video store the day Casey claims her daughter disappeared. She's arm in arm with her boyfriend. They rented the action-adventure flick, The Bank Job. Also, more photos of Casey in the days that followed reveal a careless party girl, bumping and grinding with friends at an Orlando nightclub. In an undercover sting operation orchestrated by deputies, the same boyfriend who was at the Blockbuster video joined forces with detectives to see if Casey's brother was somehow complicit in Kaylee's disappearance.
She obviously wasn't looking for Kaylee.
They didn't find anything criminal, but they did learn that even her brother was suspect of his sister's stories.
Because sometimes it seems like she lies just to lie.
The state attorney's office said it did not intend to release the jail guard interviews just yet. While it is public record, it was a mistake to release it this early among the thousands of pages of public records that have been released so far. Meredith?
Kerry Sanders, thank you. Dan Abrams is NBC's chief legal analyst. Dan, good morning to you.
Meredith.
Overall impression of the evidence that was released.
Look, there's been a lot of evidence that's been released which is potentially incriminating. I'm not convinced that a lot of this is so horrible for her. All the headlines were blaring that she was stoic until the time that remains were found. So what? I mean, if she thought that she was innocent, she was stoic, convinced that she'd be proven that innocent.
So the prosecution can't say that, well, she's stoic because
they can say, they can argue whatever they want. I guess I'm just saying that so she loses it when she discovers that a child's remains have been found. So what? I mean, I just don't think that's a big deal. There's also evidence that came out about deputies who were offering conflicting testimony. There was some arguments between a deputy and the person who ultimately found the body, which is not helpful to the prosecution. The most important thing, though, are those pictures, I think.
Let's talk about this videotape that was made of her. The day that she was indicted, she's having a conversation with one of the investigators. Sounds very calm. At one point, she insists that she knows Kaylee is alive. Let's listen to it, and we'll talk on the other side.
I, as a mom, I know in my gut, there's the feeling as a parent, you know certain things about your child, you can feel that connection. And I still have that feeling, that presence. I know that she's alive.
Again, sounds very cool, but you say big deal.
I don't get it. So what? So she was cool, calm, and collected when she was being questioned about her daughter's disappearance. Now, look, you can legitimately argue, what the heck was she doing for 31 days not looking for her daughter? there you got a legitimate argument.
And there you have a lot of photos that were released once again, a lot of the same sort of party-like photos, and then those pictures of her renting a movie on the day she claims her daughter disappeared.
See, I think these are important. When you're talking about jurors looking at photos of someone in the days when her daughter is at least unaccounted for, that's going to be a problem. The fact that jurors are going to see these party pictures, or if they are going to see them, is potentially very incriminating, I think. And you know, you can argue, well, so what? You know, she thought that the child was with a nanny, etc., with a babysitter. As far as jurors are concerned, I think this is going to be a far bigger problem than all this business about her demeanor.
All right, Dan Abrams, thank you very much.